Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with civics chapter, the making of our constitution. In this chapter, we are going to study about how our constitution came into existence and about the source, objectives, and nature of our constitution. But before that, we should know that why does a country need a constitution and what do you mean by a constitution? In simple language, we can say that a constitution is a set of rules and regulations according to which a country is organized and governed. It also mentions the organization, powers, and functions of the government and the rights and duties of the people. When we say organization, it means that the government has three parts or branch. First one is legislative, the second one is executive, and the third one is judiciary. Our constitution mentions all the powers and functions of all the three branches of the government. And when we say rights and duties of the people, so our constitution also mentions the rights and duties of the citizens of India. For example, the few of the duties of the citizens of India are as a citizen of India, we must respect the constitution, the national flag, and the national anthem. We must protect the public properties. We must preserve our cultural heritage. And as a citizen of India, we got certain rights also. For example, as a citizen of India, we are free to move throughout the territory of India. We are free to reside and settle in any part of India. We are free to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade, or business. Now, about the introduction of the Constitution. Children, all of you know that we got our independence on 15th August 1947 from the British rule. The British government transferred political power to the Indians, whose primary task now was to frame a constitution for a free India. But children, it was not an easy task to frame a constitution for a free India because at the time of the independence, our society was divided on the basis of class, caste, creed, sex, and religion. And before framing the Constitution of India, our leaders had to keep in mind the interest of all the sections of the society. And for the Constituent Assembly in 1946, which represented people from all the sections and communities of India. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the chairman of the Constituent Assembly, and other important members were B.R. Ambedkar, Maulana Azad, and Sarojini Naidu. The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December 1946, and it took 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to complete its task. So, the Constitution of India was passed by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949, and finally the Constitution of India came into force on 26 January 1950. This day is celebrated as Republic Day. Now let's discuss the preamble and the source of the Constitution. Children, preamble means a short introduction. So we can say the preamble is a brief introduction to the Constitution. It helps us to understand the vision and the aspirations of the framers of our Constitution. The preamble tells us about the source of the Constitution, the nature of the state, and its main objective. And about the source of the Constitution, it implies that the source of the Constitution is the people of India, or we can say that we, the people of India, are the source of our Constitution. It means the authority of the government of India is derived from the people. The Constitution reflects the wishes of the people. Therefore, we can say that the Constitution is not imposed on us. Now come to the nature of the state. The nature of the Indian Constitution is that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and a republic country. Let's take sovereign first. Sovereign means that India is an independent country, completely free from foreign control. No outside power can control or interfere in the internal as well as external affairs of our country. Next is socialist. Socialist means fair distribution of the country's wealth among all the sections of the people. It means providing equal opportunities to all in order to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. It means, children, that whatever the money the government collects from the taxes we pay as a citizen of India, it is utilized by the government for all the sections of the society without discriminating on the basis of class, creed, or sex. Like the government constructs the road, constructs the bridges, opens the schools and the hospitals. Next is secular. Secular means India does not have an official or state religion. We cannot say that India is a Hindu state or an Islamic country or a Christian state. India does not discriminate against anybody on the ground of religion or does not favor or promote any particular religion. It allows faith and worship. Faith and worship. The next feature of our constitution is that India is a democratic state. It means India has a democratic government, means a government of the people, by the people and for the people, which means the people of India have the power to elect their government of their choice and govern the country through their elected representatives. And the last feature of this is republic. India is a republic state. It means that the head of our country is an elected one. It is not a dictator. The elected head of our country is the president. The president has a fixed term of 5 years. This post is not hereditary. Now, let's discuss about the objectives of our constitution. The main objectives of our constitution are to provide justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Fraternity means the feeling of oneness, to create the feeling of oneness among the citizens of India. First is justice. Justice means all citizens are equal in the eyes of law. Justice shall not be denied to anybody on the basis of place of birth, race, caste, creed, sex, status, or religion. The next objective of the Indian Constitution is to provide liberty to its citizens. It means Indian Constitution aims to provide its citizens certain fundamental rights such as freedom to think and freedom to express themselves and the freedom to follow the religion of their choice. The next objective is equality. According to it, all citizens are equal before law and will be protected equally by the law of the land. The state shall not discriminate between people on the basis of place of birth, sex, caste, creed, race, religion, or wealth. The last objective of the Indian Constitution is to create the feeling of oneness, of brotherhood among its citizens. The Indian Constitution aims at creating a feeling of brotherhood among the different sections of society. And this is aimed at removing social barriers between Indians belonging to different communities so that country can progress towards its goal of securing justice, liberty and equality for all its citizens. Now, the last one is the significance of January 26. Children, as we discussed at the start of this chapter, that Our constitution was passed by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949. But the constitution came into force on 26 January 1950, which is this day is celebrated as Republic Day. So, why our leaders chose 26 January as the day for the enforcement of the constitution? This is because before the independence, the Indian National Congress, in its Lahore session on December 29, 1929, had passed a resolution declaring complete independence as India's goal and celebrated 26th January as Independence Day every year from 1930 onwards. But children, you know that India got its freedom on 15th August 1947. But before the independence, our leaders decided 26 January as the day to celebrate the day of complete independence. So, to remember this important date, the framers of our constitution decided to take this date, 26th January, as the day for the enforcement of our constitution. With this, we come to the end of this chapter. Now, children, your homework is you have to read the above presentation again and then do the question answers given in the PDF in your classwork register. Thank you and take care.